Do you hear that? It's something quite extraordinary. If you pay attention and listen closely, you'll hear the stories of senior executives transforming brands and the experiences of real people in their natural habitat with those very same brands. Follow your host, Dennis Wakabayashi, as he pulls out his microphone to capture authentic reactions from the people he meets as he travels around the world. These are unrehearsed, unsponsored, and real conversations about CX that you won't find anywhere else. This is CX in the Wild.
All right. All right. And you'll want to pass that mic between the two of you because, because I typically don't do two people, but um, it's so interesting to bump into the two of you. I will say for my audience, I had heard about this technology about 6 weeks ago in the marketplace in relationship to how we're going to be perceiving conversations in the future. Our friend of ours, Neil Top, just introduced us. I'm super ridiculously excited to hear your story. So I'd like to just start with, why don't each of you introduce yourself, your name and your company and what you do, starting with you, sir.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Sharath Keshava. I'm the CEO and co-founder for Sanas. Sanas is a real-time accent translation startup. We started the company about 2 years ago. We came out of stealth and launched the product in CCW Vegas about 90 days back. And we are here excited to be back again in CCW Nashville.
Awesome. And you, Marty?
Awesome. Hi, everybody. This is Marty Sarim. I'm president of Sanas. I've been with Sanas almost since the beginning, first as an investor and now as an operator. I am excited to kind of bring my network and my experience in call centers, specifically to sites that offshore and nearshore, and work with agents that have accents and have kind of bridged the communication gap between U.S. customers and accented agents. And so we're very excited, as Sharath just mentioned. We're literally 90 days out of stealth. We have a booth here at the show where people literally walk in, talk to one of our agents in their natural language and with their natural accents, and then they hit a button and they come out of and they continue the conversation in a completely new voice, and people walk out of the booth going, oh my God, that was amazing. This could help so many different ways. And it's just been very exciting getting this product off the ground and showing the world what Sanas is about.
So it's Sanas, Sanas. And I'm just going to kind of elaborate, Sharath and Marty, for my audience. The reason I'm excited about talking to you is I had been hearing about a technology, a solution that would help, or it would be a solution that took someone who had an accent in another language and modify their voice to remove the accent, and that's what you do. And I personally, because I work all over the world and I'm with all these different groups, and I will tell you that as a point of perspective, one of the groups that I've been really interested in helping get their word out, their name out there, is this small little group in Lebanon who is having Lebanese women as call center agents because they have a less of an accent and they're educated. But I do it because it empowers the culture, and I think it's transformative. And that's a region. But what I think you're doing is a global scale opportunity to normalize human beings without classifying them by some dialect or some affectation to their voice, which I think is I think it's time for the world to be more human as one. So, Chef, I see you're ready to say something. Jump in there.
No, I think it's a very interesting conversation paradigm, right? So I think uh, the founding story of Sanas was unique in multiple ways, right? So I think we have 50 people in the company now, and if you talk to each of those 50 people who work for Sanas, they actually have their own Sanas story, right? But if you take a culmination of all these stories, all we're trying to do is breaking barriers one conversation at a time, right? There are 7 billion people on this planet, right? Every individual is very unique in the way they sound because your speech is very intrinsic to who you are as a person. right? But in a business to business setting, you have to communicate with another person to solve a problem or to communicate effectively with the other individual. And many a times you've noticed accent becomes a barrier, right? It's not about one accent is better than the other accent. It's about normalizing the accent so that that does not become a barrier for smooth conversations, right? And that for us is fascinating because today technology can help you overcome that barrier of accent so that two individuals can talk to each other. And in a call center setting, it's very effective because somebody has called a call center with a problem and all they want is a solution to that problem, right? And we don't want accent to come in a way of that other person not trusting the other person just because of an accent. We just want to take the accent out of the way and allow the communication specialist to actually go through this conversation very smoothly.
Can you change the accent to be something else? And I say this because this morning I watched a TikTok on a girl in London who said she was talking and she sounded very American. And she said, "Here's the thing, I'm just pretending to speak like an American." And she spoke in her other accent. And is that something where you can make the accent more familiar to another? Are there multiple accents? How does it work? Break it down for me.
So yeah, I think in a very simplistic way, what we've built today with Sanas is is technically we've built a many to one accent converter, where essentially we can take in multiple forms of dialect. It could be an Indian dialect, a Filipino dialect, an African dialect, a Lebanese dialect, a Latin American dialect, right? And we can convert it into either a standard British speech, a standard Canadian speech, or a standard American speech, right?
Perfect.
We can only convert, we can take in multiple forms of input, but we can only have a single form of output, right? But what we are also working towards is to build a many to many accent converter where, depending upon, say, if you're talking to somebody in Scotland, you can choose to sound Scottish so that that person is familiar with your accent so that you can have a more natural conversation.
You
Right?
know, you're touching on a piece of customer experience that's very important to me. I feel like personalization and familiarity is the door opener to the better experiences. So this is fantastic. Are you at liberty to talk a little bit about how you pulled this off, or is that top secret still? You're just coming out of stealth, so I don't want to give anything away. But
No, I think I can talk to you about from a technology angle, but I think Marty can also give you more context from a business angle, right? So I think from a technology angle, we started building this product because my co-founders both were studying at Stanford, and a close mutual friend of theirs had to leave his studies to actually go back to his home country, which is Nicaragua, to support his parents. And this is a Stanford systems engineer who had to drop school to go and work in Nicaragua. But in Nicaragua, without a graduate degree, the job he landed was a job in a call center, and his call center job was to support in a technical support role to support people who have problems with their computers. Now, this guy is a Stanford systems engineer who can disassemble and reassemble a computer in a matter of minutes, and all of us assume that he'll probably be a rock star at his job, but he was potentially let go from his job 60 days into the job because he underperformed. And the reason he underperformed is not because of his technical knowledge, because of his accent. People just couldn't understand him.
yeah.
And that made us realize that if somebody who's privileged, who's so intelligent and smart, would not do well in a job just because of his accent. Just imagine more than 3 billion people in this world who are accented, right? So, can we bring a technology that can be a unifier? So, what we did was we figured out, okay, to actually build a real time accent converter, the two biggest challenges you would face is one is latency, because if you have to do something real time, it has to operate in milliseconds, right? The latency cannot be more than 100 milliseconds. So we had to solve for that challenge technically. The second challenge is how do you actually implement a product like this? It should be seamless to implement and seamless to use. So we it took us 2 years to solve problems on these two fronts from a technology standpoint. So what we did was we built a real-time speech-to-speech synthesis algorithm, which does not operate at a phrase level or a character level. It actually operates at a phonetic level, right? So for us, the word Sharath, my name, is not a single word. It's a collection of sounds. So what we are doing is within the algorithm in real time, we are mapping how a sound sir would sound in an Indian accent because I'm from India, to map it to how it would sound in a British accent or an American accent. and we would convert that in real time. So we could operate this under sub 100 millisecond latency. And then on the implementation methodology, we basically said, if you go to a large enterprise and tell them that we process this on the cloud and we have to process data on the cloud, people would get finicky, right? So we said we'll give you the control where we'll actually install this on an agent's desktop, and an agent can, with a push of a button, can choose to enable the Sanas Accent Translator or not enable the Sanas Accent Translator. So these two technology revolutions, we patented this whole approach. This enabled us to make this solution even possible.
I like it. It, in many ways, to me, kind of, I'm looking at this big divide between chatbots and humans, and NLP, language, all these players in the marketplace, but it feels like there hasn't been a large step in the evolution, and it feels like you're taking this step to where humans are going to be a whole new wave of talking to other humans now, because I think there's been a lot of diversion in the marketplace to chatbots because of things like you're talking about. But now I can see a whole new workforce coming into play because this barrier, this, let's just call it inclusivity. You have an inclusivity engine for the customer experience marketplace.
Absolutely, that's spot on. We'll look at it, and we use the phrase GDP shifting, and we think we'll bring millions of, possibly tens of millions of jobs back into countries like India. If you think about, people left India 20 years ago in voice for accents only. It wasn't a matter of education. It certainly wasn't a matter of population. The Philippines and other countries started becoming a lot richer in terms of the number of agents just because of things like accents. Building a product like this, we believe more and more voice will be moved from Philippines to India. Then we'll see a lot of nearshore going kind of into Philippines, and then we'll see a lot of domestic work kind of going into nearshore. So there's this evolution of companies getting more comfortable outsourcing to other countries that have comprehension in English, but just don't have the right accents. And to give you some facts and maybe some metrics behind that, roughly 15%, or call it 15 out of 100 agents offshore get hired. That leaves 85%, or 85 of them that don't get hired. Half of the reason they don't get hired of that 85 is because of comprehension. Sanas simply can't fix comprehension. However, the other half that doesn't is because of accents, meaning these agents or these potential new hires would understand and could understand English, but they wouldn't be hired because their accent is so thick. If Sanas can come up with a technology to essentially eliminate that accent, now that creates millions of jobs. Then you think about, we've really built it for the agent. As Sharath was mentioning about Raul, we have a quote. It's on our website. It's your voice, your choice. And we want to empower the agent. We don't want to force the software on an agent. We want the agent to embrace it and say, look, if I can use my natural skills, my natural communication skills, and just eliminate my accent, that eliminates the barrier, if you will, of communication. And what we found so far is the agents that use Sanas sound a lot more confident on the phone, and they're leaning in instead of on their back heels, because they're not worried about what the customer might think. It's not what they say, it's how they sound. And we all know, right, in customer service, if you can sound comfortable and confident, you're going to have a much better experience, whether you're selling, whether you're collecting, whether you're taking inbound calls, et cetera, for CSAT. We also know that customers hang up phone calls as soon as they hear an accent. And they think if they hang up and call back, they'll get somebody without an accent. Little do they know that they use the same call center. It's in the same country. And so there's other times where customers are asking, hey, can you repeat that? I didn't hear that. Can you say that again? That all creates additional unneeded expense because agents are now on the phone much longer than they really need to be. So it's, quite simply said, eliminating accents and increasing communication between a customer and an agent is really the magical formula here, and that's what we found from a success standpoint.
Marty, I can tell you're laser focused on the value to the economy and to the business. I listen to you, and what goes on in my mind is the empowerment and the mental health benefit to business, because you're not making people feel uncomfortable. I can just imagine being an agent on the front line and having to deal mentally with the fact that I have this accent every time. I'm just trying to provide for my family. I believe in this brand. I'm just trying to do right by the brand and my family, but the outside world is interacting with me. It's stressful. So I could see how this could have mental health benefits. Not saying that's why you built the company, but I'm just personally, for me, I'm always looking for, like, how does the world become a better place?
It's certainly one of the reasons we built the company is mental health. And I'm coming from a place of like, I'm not guessing that this is a problem. I know it's a problem. I spent 25 years in call centers. I started in the call center business when I was 18. I changed my own name. My name's not Marty, it's Massih. I changed my name to Marty because it became easier for me to do
Right. So
business
you know
in America.
firsthand
So
what
I
it's
know
like to be up
firsthand.
against
So
this.
absolutely. And then my partner Sharath, like he's been in the call center business on the tech side and the operations side for many years. All of our partners that we work with, he was mentioning the Sanas story. We all have a Sanas story, and Sanas is so much more than call centers. Like I don't want to pigeonhole Sanas just into call centers. So if you think about the world with respect to devices, having an app on your phone, ordering a pizza simply, trying to locate your Uber driver, all of those come with communication gaps where a product like this will revolutionize the entire way the world operates.
Massih?
Massih.
Massih, let me dive in there, because I think we've talked about the product and the company. Take me back to that story. Walk me through you two are the leaders of this company. You have a story. You arrived here somewhere. Tell me your backstory. Give me the bio of Massih. You had these experiences that led you here. What were they?
Sure, sure.
Born and raised where?
Born in Kabul, Afghanistan. Born in late 70s. As many of you know, the Soviet invasion happened in early 80s. Our country was rocketed, shelled by missiles and destroyed. Snuck out of the country, came to America, grew up in Minneapolis, learned English as my second language, and then kind of fast forwarding, got into this job at a call center. I had no idea what a call center was, or just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and fell in love with the the product, fell in love with the project that I was on, fell in love with the people. The only problem I had is I had a different name than what the U.S. customers were used to, and so when I became Marty, or when I changed to Marty, it changed the way my confidence level was on the phone. It changed the way, and quite frankly, millions of agents use aliases. They use aliases for that reason alone. And you could talk to Massih and have one perception, or you could talk to Marty and have a completely different perception, but it's the same person. And so that's kind of my story.
So I want to just relate to you there, because my name is Masaru. I'm Masaru Wakabayashi.
Okay.
But they call me Dennis.
There you go.
So
Dennis, yeah.
that's my name. So I think I relate to that. I also like that you shared that story, because having been in the situation and the experience in the call center, I think gives much more validity to how your insights and intuition would help to craft a solution for this marketplace. Tackling something for yourself for empowerment and scaling to others is sort of a story that I'm always interested in hearing. Sharif,
Yeah, and I think
tell us your whole story.
I think
Take us back to the beginning.
yeah, again, born and raised in India, engineer by background. I think two incidents happened to me in my life, which has been like a hallmark of me relentlessly working towards building this product at Sanas. Right. So I think the first incident happened when I was 18. I was doing my engineering, like a lot of kids in the early 2000s. We were not depending on our parents to pay for our education. We wanted to earn our own bread. While I was doing engineering in the day, I used to go and work in a call center in the night. And my first job as a call center agent, I get selected, and then I'm put through a 6-week accent neutralization training.
Oh my.
And you go through the 6 weeks of people telling you how to roll your R's and bite your T's, and you're 18 years old, you don't question, you just go through
I'm
it.
cringing right now.
And then at the end of 6 weeks, they tell me that your name going forward, your alias would be Nathan. And for me, that hit me like a pile of bricks. But I was still 18, I still went on with it, but I found it very hard to accept the fact that I have to call myself Nathan, which is so not you. And again, I would not blame call centers either, because they are a customer experience organization, right? So they want to give the best experience to their customers. So they don't have a choice, right? And then the second incident happened a couple of years ago when I became a father. 3 years back, we were blessed with a son, and I was trying to train Alexa to play "Old MacDonald Had a Farm," and with my Indian accent. And I had to say it a bunch of times for Alexa to understand what I was saying and play that song. And then I was like, there has to be an easier way to ease communications. I'm an engineer myself. I've been in the US for a while, and an Alexa device cannot understand what I say, right? And someone told me, why don't you train? There's an India language skill for Alexa. Why did you train Alexa with that skill? I'm like, why should I train Alexa? Alexa should understand what I say, right? And this for me got me thinking a lot. And then when we started thinking about how can we solve this problem technologically, I think Sanas was formed, right? So I think for the last 2.5 years, and that's why we keep saying it's just not about call centers, because there are so many applications which can be solved by leveraging accents. So it's like a fascinating thing.
I think it's a fascinating use of the technology. Kudos to you. Congratulations on coming out of stealth, Sharif and Massih. It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. I feel like I'm getting the scoop to tell your
And I think
story.
one more thing I would tell you, though we built this for agents, I must admit, the first customer that we had, Alorica, and our partner, I was fascinated by their story, because Andy Lee, who's the chairman of Alorica, is an immigrant himself, right? And for him, his zeal to partner with Sonis was primarily because he said, hey, I have 100,000 people outside the United States supporting all our 250 enterprise brands. I want to do this because I want all of them to go home happy. Call center jobs are not easy jobs. It's monotonous. You have to talk to difficult customers, having difficult conversations. And I don't want my agents to be unhappy. And you went through this great resignation era just last year, where every contact center across the world went through massive attrition rates. And he said, if I can enable my agents with this tech, and if I can make my agents go home happy, they'll probably be more happy when they come back the next day morning and do their jobs much better. And I think a lot of contact centers are also taking the stand, and there are visionaries like Andy who are taking that leap of faith in technology. And I think with more and more people adopting this, I think we can make millions of agents go home happy. And for me and Marty, one of the first town halls we did with all the agents that are live on Sanas is that first comment that came in, where they said, Sharath, I have had 30 abuse-free days. That almost made me cry when an agent said this. And if we can make that kind of an impact with technology, I think technology can be made to put to good use.
I think, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you are improving the human condition. So congratulations to both of you. If people want to learn more, where do they find you?
They could come visit our website, www.sanas.ai.
Sanas.ai.
Sanas.ai. Yeah, I think we are opening this up. It's a limited availability product right now, but we are interested to talk to brands, and we will launch our B2C version sometime soon, so that even individuals can use the product as well. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity, Dennis. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And so, our time together in the wild has come to an end. To continue your journey with Dennis, connect on LinkedIn or find out more at teamwakabayashi.com. Join us next time as we continue to explore the world of CX in the wild.